All right, Autobots, transform and roll out. This is probably going to be our last video on the topic of Transformers Reactivate. It is 11 p.m. Central Time on the 8th of January. We are about to be in the midst of a really severe, or severe by Texas standards, winter storm. I have a 5-day weekend, basically, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. My kids are getting ready for quote-unquote bedtime. My son and I are going to watch some cartoons since we don't have anything to do now. So before we wrap up for the night, I wanted to go over my exclusive coverage. If you've been in the Discord and you've been reading this is going to be old news to you. But I still wanted to put my thumbprint on it and make sure that it is covered authentically, make sure that it is covered accurately, and make it very clear where this information stems from. You will not have heard this anywhere else, so that's very important. You will probably start to hear this as people regurgitate and repeat what is being said here and in our Discord, but know that it started here with my translations and with my information. So I want to make that absolutely clear before channels that are monetized and people looking to milk every ounce of a title's cancellation and the title's fan base. So we're going to try to be quick about it. No 2-hour streams this late at night. So for a brief overview, for those of you who may not know, Transformers Reactivate was officially canceled. It's not moving studios, at least as far as we've heard. It is. It's already the next day in the UK. It is various hours across the world. I'm not going to go over that. It's late. It's 11 p.m. in Texas. Do what you will with your time. Hey, Royal Kaiju. So do what you will with time, but as of right now, near midnight, the title is officially canceled. Hasbro has not attempted to renegotiate with Tencent as it stands right now. As the information we have right now is that Hasbro is not attempting to renegotiate the license with Tencent. Without a license, the game ceases to exist, and I think that's the way Hasbro wants it, based off what what is coming to light anyway. And of course, what is coming to light? Just as a refresh, again, I imagine if you're a Transformer fan and you've been waiting about this game, you probably know about it. But I will preface it very quickly. In 2016, Leiyu acquired the Transformers license and various other licensed titles to develop games based on beloved properties. One of those properties is Transformers. At this time in 2016, they acquired stakes in Certain Affinity and in Splash Damage. And in 2016, this title was known as Transformers Online. In very, very early 2017, at a Chinese conference, an individual, I'm going to be really careful, an individual in China asked about the development of Transformers Online, sparking the first fire among the fandom. And again, all this is going to play out later. Now, Leiyu and Certain Affinity said they had no comment, but that first spark of Transformers Online in development by Certain Affinity was all they needed in China, because once that was asked at a public conference in China, it got to America really fast, and that started everything. That was the first inclination that we were aware of that Certain Affinity had been, that Leiyu's interest in acquiring Certain Affinity was entirely based on the development of a Transformer title, and that they had been working on that title, which was Transformers Online, in 2016. Sometime around late 2017, the title's name changed to Transformers Impact. Sometime around 2019, 2018, depending on who you ask, it was changed to Transformers Rise. From 2016 through 2021, Leiyu and Certain Affinity were working with Hasbro. In 2021, Leiyu was acquired by Tencent. Tencent is a massive Chinese company. Now, when Leiyu was acquired by Tencent, this also meant that their stakes in Splash Damage and Certain Affinity were acquired by Tencent as well. Again, it's basically like the Microsoft acquisition of Activision. Tencent bought Leiyu and thereby bought everything else that they owned. Hasbro was cool with it, didn't really pay much attention to it. They were told development would continue as normal. Hasbro had no reasons to pay attention or to have any doubts. For all intents and purposes, Hasbro's been incredibly hands-off. They don't really care what's being made. Not in a negative way. Hasbro was just like, do what you want. Just this is the idea. We kind of wanted a co-op game. Can you make that? They said yes. That was it. Hasbro's been hands off and been very supportive of designs, story, blah, blah, blah. Hasbro has not given a crap. So, again, just to kind of get that out of the way. So, Leyou was acquired by Tencent in 2021, effectively becoming a satellite studio. All the decisions were then being made by Tencent, who had acquired Leyou. Now, of course, then we were going into COVID, massive shutdowns, everything crazy going on in China and across the globe. Then, when things started to go back to normal, Certain Affinity, who had started working on Transformers Rise with Splash Damage as a support studio, Certain Affinity was completely pulled off of Transformers Rise. Tencent wanted Certain Affinity working on their own original IP and on Halo because they felt that was more valuable. Also, there was something else going on with Transformers. We'll get to that. Splash was given the title with support studio / co-developer going to Bulkhead. Depending on who you ask, some people call Bulkhead a support studio. Some people call them a co-developer. It doesn't matter anymore, and I'm sure many people are going to share many different versions from the UK side of things. Basically, a lot of people worked on this. Hundreds of people worked on this. Nobody worked on it less or more. Certain Affinity did a lot of work. Splash did work. Bulkhead did work. Nobody didn't do work. The employees worked. This isn't about the employees. I want to make that very clear. None of this has to do with community managers, employees, or anything like that. Well, for a fan base, and again, I mean this with all the love in the world, Transformers is a significantly smaller franchise and fan base. It just doesn't have the massive monetary imprint that other titles do. But for the fan base and the passion that it does have, the leaks that were surrounding Transformers were significant. Transformers Impact, Transformers Rise, Transformers Reactivate had incredibly significant leaks for a title that had a very small, passionate fan base and barely anybody outside of the core fandom, hardcore fandom, knew about it. I even know this from working. This is not a title that many people were aware of. The average consumer, all that, and we've covered all those kind of topics. And Certain Affinity never even publicly acknowledged they were really working on Transformers Rise. There were no discussions. There was no interviews. They never outright said the state of the game. Certain Affinity was allowing Leyou to handle everything. Certain Affinity had their heads down working on the title. They barely interacted with Hasbro. And the same appears to be true for Splash. Minimal involvement from Hasbro, just a very supportive licensor, basically, is what Hasbro was. So that leads to, of course, Splash then switching to Unreal Engine 5.4 and ultimately the cancellation of the title. Now, all evidence points to numerous scandals. So somewhat, some of this is now going to just kind of be copy and pasted, and I'm just going to kind of be reading what I've been exclusively posting in our Discord because that's just easier, it's easier for me. So I'm going to scroll. Let's see. Where's a good place to start? So let's see. We will start, depending on those of you following around. Well, let's basically get into Leyou and Tencent and the money laundering scandal. So Tencent never bought the license itself to Transformers. Leyou acquired the Transformers license and lied about how far along Impact was so they would get acquired by Tencent. Tencent never wanted Transformers Rise, Reactivate, Impact, whatever you want to call it. Tencent wanted Certain Affinity. And Certain Affinity was building Transformers Rise as a microtransaction fest that honestly probably would have died based on information. It took an obscene amount of time to develop Transformers Reactivate. It took an obscene amount of time to unlock characters in Transformers Rise, Impact, Rise, whatever you want to call it. I don't, it varies. Call it whatever. So, all of that. Leyou was lying to investors, and Transformers Rise was part of their money laundering scheme. Tencent and Hasbro had no idea. Neither did Certain Affinity. Neither did Splash. Neither did Bulkhead. And Certain Affinity and Splash didn't know Leiu was telling investors something different. And we know that Leiu employees or Leiu executives fled China, and some are hiding even in America and various countries. So I also personally don't believe it was as far as long as Splash executives were making it out to believe, or that Splash employees were led to believe, just based on some information that we've been hearing. Employees, some employees have complained online about not knowing the state of the game. They were working in pockets. They didn't really see what other teams were doing. Art didn't really know how far along modeling and other things like that were going. So again, it varies, but some stories that are coming out now from the Splash side of things talk about executives lying to Hasbro and Tencent, saying they were hitting milestones, but really all they were looking for was getting more money so that they could put that money into development of their own titles. But again, it appears like Splash executives was taking money sent to them for Transformers Reactivate and using it elsewhere. That's what some employees have been speculating online, which might, again, explain Project Astrid. So, with that, let's get caught up. All evidence points to numerous scandals for Transformers Impact Rise Reactivate Online. All files of Transformers Reactivate have been ordered deleted. Now, again, all this is some of these executive decisions are above anybody that I know's pay grade, but there is no longer a Transformers Reactivate team. It does appear as though, just like Certain Affinity was ordered to have all files of Transformers Impact Rise Online deleted, and they did oblige by that. Certain Affinity no longer has anything for Transformers legally. They really shouldn't have anything like it. So, let's see. Now, in terms of the rights to the license, it's possible, and this is an interesting bit of information I'm just going to toss in here because I tossed it into the Discord. It's possible Leiu never paid Hasbro, so there is a bigger legal issue. Tencent may not have even ever legally had a right to the Transformers license. There is some back and forth talk in communities that Leiu never... At some point when Leiu was supposed to renegotiate the license and pay to extend the licensing contract, they may have never did, or they told Hasbro it would be paid by Tencent, and there was confusion in the paperwork, and then COVID happened. So it is entirely possible that Tencent did not have the license to Transformers from 2021/2022 to now. So that might even make the deletion of their files more urgent. So... okay. Now, quickly to quote this, the decision has been made to end development of Transformers Reactivate. Apparently, that wasn't a solely Splash executive decision. Employees are confused, but the game was canceled from the publisher. Nobody knows if that was Hasbro or Tencent. No one was happy with the latest report on the game, and there was a visit in December that did not go well. Again, a lot of confusion in terms of what different Splash employees are saying. So, Tencent completely acquired Leiu, rendering them only a satellite studio. Following investigations, the Leiu corporate office was abandoned and multiple employees and multiple executives were missing. The year-long investigation has revealed a staggering money laundering scheme. Leiu doesn't own anything because they were completely acquired by Tencent, again, like how Microsoft acquired Activision, just as a quick repeat. From 2016 to 2021, Leiu participated in a massive leak campaign, deliberately leaking out material and builds of the game to fabricate and exaggerate the state of titles, unbeknownst to studios, Certain Affinity and Splash Damage, unbeknownst to Hasbro, unbeknownst to Tencent. Now, again, just as a quick refresher, Leiu was acquired in 2020 and finalized in the end of 2021. This also includes a Lord of the Rings title, but again, I don't really have a lot of insight on that because it's just not the pocket that I'm going down or aware of, and it doesn't suit this channel. So, Leiu was using online creators to generate hype for a game that barely existed to appear more appealing for buyout. So basically, they weaponized social media. Leiu was deliberately leaking out materials, including all the way back at the Chinese conference, where it was actually a unnamed Leiu employee who was told to ask about Transformers Online in the public to first spread awareness of the title. Everything Leyu did from 2016 to 2021, including weaponizing leaks and weaponizing online social media creators to fabricate and exaggerate the state of the title. All this going on while Certain Affinity and eventually Splash, when Certain Affinity and Splash were working as co-developers, struggled to finalize a build. The leak of the Certain Affinity build, which is the title that basically the title that people play. Anyone who says that they have played Transformers Impact, Rise, Reactivate, it's only one build that's out there. And the leak of that build, and again, the knowledge of it has led to multiple employees fired at Certain Affinity following an investigation. So everything was a twisted, fabricated, manipulated lie. Leyu's executives manipulated all of this through a massive money laundering scandal so that they could walk away with millions of dollars and flee China. All of this, the leaks, everything was carefully orchestrated to exaggerate the state of the title. There is not a finished game. Even if anything leaked out, there is no finished game. There is no in-game bosses. There is nothing that was finished. It was all in various stages of incomplete. It was Leyu exaggerating everything. It was Leyu mishandling leadership and mishandling development. All they wanted was to be bought out and acquired and to get paid. And they used leaks to do that. So I want to be very clear. Certain Affinity and Splash had no idea what was going on. None of them knew what Leyu was doing, and Tencent had no idea of it either. Tencent, at the time, considered Transformers Rise a dead title, and Tencent immediately took Certain Affinity off following the completion of the acquisition. There was a brief period in 2020, late 2021, early 2022, where it was believed that Rise would be canceled, but the title was given to Splash. Tencent thought they could wrap it up and finish it. Now, this is where some people debate it. So, anyway, just to reiterate one last time before we completely wrap up, a full version of Rise, Impact, Online, Reactivate does not exist. There is not a complete version of this game that you can play from beginning to end. Most of the bots aren't even playable. Most of the bots aren't even finished. Everything was a lie. Everything that quote-unquote leakers were being fed, the build that was fed, everything was manipulated by a Chinese company in a massive scheme to basically benefit them in a buyout. Everything was manipulated. I want very, very clear on that. There is only a small playtest demo that Splash has, that Splash was building in Unreal Engine 5, a very small playtest demo, and there is the Certain Affinity build, which is a fragmented, jumbled mess that is nowhere near a playable campaign. Okay. So, with that leads us to Splash building Unreal Engine 5.4. This is where it gets a little murky. Again, getting Chinese information is easy for me. These are all my translations. They're 100% accurate. And again, the information with Leyu, all of this, I am 100% comfortable in my translations of this information. Where it gets with Splash, some of this is from angry employees, former employees now, people who are getting laid off. And again, passions are high, but apparently, so I'm going to be careful here because I don't know everything that went on inside Splash's doors. I frankly don't, and I don't know what went on in executive meetings. Some employees currently think that executives were lying about the state of the game to Hasbro and were lying about the state of Unreal Engine 5.4 build. They were having a number of programmers were having a very, very hard time. Not only were they having a hard time, the money and the time wasn't there. People were being moved around constantly. There's just a lot of gossip. Frankly, that's all there is to it. There's a lot of Splash damage gossip, and rightfully so. These people are upset because they're getting taken. they're having their lives ripped out from under them. They don't know if they're going to have a job. That's a bigger deal. That's a huge deal. Layu's money laundering scandal, all that kind of crap, that's one thing. What's going on at Splash is a whole other issue, and is a very, very big deal. So I think that wraps it up. I think we're good, and we did it in about 20 minutes. Not too bad to go over everything. I know a lot. I try to preface and I try to go back over information because, again, there's still a lot of people that don't know the history of Reactivate, don't know how many hands it passed through. But to me, it's important to paint a very clear picture. At this moment in time, no one knows if Tencent actually has a legal right to the license, but Splash has been ordered to delete and remove following the conclusion of development that all data is to be erased on Transformers Reactivate, much like it was with Certain Affinity. So if the playtest build gets out, it will be very similar to the situation of the Certain Affinity build. Of course, Layu's not involved anymore, so it won't be anything manipulated, I assume. But again, what is staggering and what is really gross is that from 2016 through 2021, Layu manipulated social media to generate hype for a barely existing title so that they could get acquired in a massive buyout. They wanted to be acquired by Tencent. They wanted to make themselves look good. And they manipulated a fan base to do that. And that's really icky. That's creepy and very icky. And things slowly and very quickly started to fall apart, a little bit slowly in the early 2020s, but then with COVID hitting and everything like that, it began, Tencent began an investigation. And like I said, some individuals, it appears, because again, it's hard to find out in terms of arrests. I know for a fact individuals, Layu executives, at least one or two, fled to America. There's rumors about some of that stuff that goes off. And maybe a couple of Layu executives were arrested. Again, some of that information gets a little murky and gets into gossip. So I can't stand by what happened to all these people. I know that the Layu executive office has been abandoned. Again, Layu doesn't exist, just like Activision doesn't really exist in that way anymore. But it is very unlikely that Transformers Reactivate gets picked up or continued development. Tencent has no interest in it. I don't think Tencent's going to give it back to Certain Affinity. If they did, I would be shocked, but it appears as though Tencent's even going to have to renegotiate the license, and again, they have to make sure that they have the license, and right now, as of today, it doesn't look like there's any interest in that from Hasbro's perspective. For all intents and purposes, I would go forward as though Transformers Reactivate is truly, completely canceled. I don't think Tencent is going to save it. I don't think Tencent's going to move it to another studio. I wouldn't put any stock or hope in that. I would really just move on. Now, I know that's hard to say because it's the internet, and the internet loves drama, and the internet loves being manipulated, and viewers of the internet are also really easy to be manipulated and misled. As it stands, though, there doesn't seem to be any logical future for Transformers Reactivate. Like, why milk it even further is beyond me. Like, this is it. This is the full story. So, again, I would not be surprised if this information gets onto YouTube, and if other people take this information and use it and twist it or whatever, but this didn't come from anywhere else. I am very, very confident, 100% confident in this information, but this is where it ends. So I want to be very clear on that. I especially want to be very clear on it because the internet is only daily becoming a worse place to be in. And whether it's kids, being manipulated to spend money where they shouldn't, kids being manipulated by potential pedophiles, it's not a healthy or a safe place. And be very careful and be very wary of what you spend your money on and how much you spend your money on. And if you have kids, be careful and be wary of what they're watching and what they're doing online, because it is very easy to manipulate consumers. And I've stressed that for years on this channel from working in marketing. I've stressed that constantly, but it's getting worse and it's getting creepier. On top of the fact that, just as a reminder, you don't ever know if you're talking to a real person, not AI. It has been studied, and this is even in marketing. There are AI there. I mean, I want to be really clear here. There are AI users on YouTube that leave comments just to be argumentative, to keep you clicking back on the video and monetizing that platform. This is the world we live in. You need to be aware of it. You need to be very aware of it. So, because one last reminder, from 2016 through 2021, Leyu manipulated creators with leaks, fabrications, and exaggerations about the state of Transformers Rise Impact Online. And ultimately, Splash executives misled people behind the scenes about the state and health of the Transformers Reactivate team. So again, always be careful. When it comes to games, when it comes to anything, you know what? Don't worry about it until it actually comes out. Live your life. Enjoy your life. Don't obsess over it. Don't worry about every video minutia bullcrap, Jeff Keighley crap, Game Awards crap, revealing stuff, telling you to pre-order, telling you to wait, telling you to come back and watch. You know, that's it. Be aware of yourself, especially as we enter the next phase of social media and the next era of marketing, which is only going to get creepier. Because again, YouTube, it doesn't matter if it's YouTube, it doesn't matter what these publishers are doing, YouTube, Meta, Elon Musk, they don't want you to be real people. They want you to sit as a drone and watch. And when they tell you to watch and like and subscribe, that's all they want from you. That's it. There is no value in a person. There is no value to you. They want your eyeballs on their screens, clicking and monetizing their platforms. You only matter to them as a number. That's it. Okay. So Royal Kaiju, I'm just going to quickly go over these few comments. Says that would explain the whole Amazon Games and Tencent drama that happened because of the Lord of the Rings game. Yeah, exactly. It pretty much does. Again, not super involved in all of the Lord of the Rings nonsense, but I know Leyu was lying about that too. And Steve says that explains why they want the files deleted. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a legal matter, and it's all beyond us, but it is a legal matter, and that just kind of rules it out. It's done. So I don't expect the game to come back. I don't expect it to be revived. I think the next time we talk about Transformers, it's either going to be re-releases, or it's going to be a whole new title, or it's going to be another one of those fun kid titles or whatever, which I know doesn't always have an audience, and that's fine. But I think it appears that Transformers Reactivate, Transformers Rise Online Impact is well and truly dead. On March 31st, Hasbro has a meeting with investors. Hasbro might shed more light on it. I would be surprised if an investor doesn't ask. But if we might hear something about Transformers Reactivate, or what happened. We might get Hasbro's point of view, or at least a public, nice way of putting it. Hasbro might say something, because I would be shocked if an investor did not ask about this. I assume they will, but that doesn't happen until the end of March. I don't know if Hasbro's going to make any comments beforehand. I don't even know if it really matters. Like, again, I would be unbelievably shocked if Tencent came in at the 11th hour and gave it back to Certain Affinity. I would be absolutely shocked if that happened. But hey, if it does, it does. I love Certain Affinity. I really do. And Leyu doesn't exist. And, Leyu's gone now. Their manipulations are gone now. So it would be Tencent just trying desperately to get this finished. I just don't see that happening. And I don't know who else Tencent could give it to, because Tencent owns the game. It's like Activision with the War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. Hasbro can't take those away. You know what I'm saying? Like, Activision owns the games. Hasbro can't do anything without Microsoft working with them. Hasbro can't do anything with Transformers Reactivate without spending a crap ton of money, and I couldn't even begin to speculate what Tencent would want for all of that, or working with Tencent to have Tencent find another one of their developers. But I don't know who else inside Tencent could do it. Not Bulkhead. I don't think Bulkhead could do it. I don't think Bulkhead wants to do it. I don't think Certain Affinity wants to do it anymore because it's gone through so much crap. I just don't know. So again, some of that speculation on on what could happen with like who Tencent could move it to, but it really does look like it's pretty much it's dead. It is well and truly canceled. I would not have any hope. I would just go about your life. If there's a surprise and Tencent saves it and gives it to one of their studios, great. But like again, I ask who. Okay, so hey Dan the Man, you came in just as I'm leaving. Honestly, let the game die and let Hasbro give us another AAA title. Yeah, let Hasbro partner with somebody else. Let Hasbro partner with Microsoft. Microsoft loves making licensed titles. You know, they could do something awesome. Steve says, Leyu may not exist, but the damage is sadly already done. We all got hopeful for a game that was barely even there or wasn't to begin with. Definitely. And Steve says, time for Hasbro to get Activision on the phone. Yeah, Hasbro and Microsoft need to have a talk. I think Microsoft has plenty of studios, and that would be willing to work on a licensed titles, and I'm sure one of those studios have got to be a big fan of Transformers. Okay, so if there's no burning questions, I'll see you guys around. I don't really pop here unless there's something important to talk about. So, it's not really like, I don't do this all the time. And this was to me important to talk about. I posted it on the Discord and somebody messaged me saying, hey, you should make a video about this. And I'm like, I don't want to edit a video and I don't really care. So again, you get a live stream and it can just be up here. Royal says a Transformers game made by Bethesda after the success of their Indiana Jones game. Technically not made by Bethesda, made by Machine Games. I want to give Machine Games credit. But yeah, Machine Games making a first-person Transformers game would be amazing. But I don't think people would like a first-person Transformers game, so it would have to be third-person. But I think Machine Games could do a third-person game. Anyway, I'm getting lost on it. Thank all of you so much for checking in this late, whatever time it is for you, I suppose. So I really do appreciate it. All of you for hanging out in the Discord and all that kind of good crap. Thank you all so much. Always great to talk with all of you when we do pop in with some news to share. Hopefully next time we have a live stream, it'll be about some good gaming news or something good from the movies or an update on the cartoon. No, Dan, right now, it's fresh in the new year. I've been on vacation, and then when I did start work, like I've no digging. I don't got anything to offer in terms of that. But I am hopeful that the next time we do a live stream, like I'm hoping we have something good to talk about, some good Transformer news. Again, the comics are awesome. If you're not reading the Skybound Energon universe, you are a terrible person, and you cannot say that there's no good Transformers. There is good Transformers. They're in comics, and you should be buying them. They're freaking amazing. All right. God bless all of you. Thank you all so much again. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking any amount of time. I do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Watch out for yourself when you're online. Be careful. Be safe. I can't reiterate it enough. Take care of yourself. These companies, this content farming on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, none of them care about any of you personally. So take care of yourself. Be very, very careful not to be manipulated. Be very, very wary. Always, always watch out for yourself mentally, physically. Don't get wrapped up in all this. Oh, is this video game coming out? There's a lot more to life than whether or not a video game comes out. So be safe. Again, God bless all of you. Have a wonderful night, morning, whatever. I'm going to enjoy this winter storm, and tomorrow I'm going to go play out in the snow with my boy.